Now, Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world. Roma Wines present
Suspense. Tonight, Roma Wines bring you Mr. Robert Young as star of The High Wall, a suspense play produced, edited, and directed for Roma Wines by William Spear.
Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, is presented for your enjoyment by Roma Wines. That's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines. Those excellent California wines that can add so much pleasantness to the way you live, to your happiness in entertaining guests, to your enjoyment of everyday meals. Yes, right now a glassful would be very pleasant as Roma Wines bring you Robert Young in a remarkable tale of
Suspense.
I woke up in bed. Nothing strange about that, except that it was a hospital bed. I couldn't imagine how I got there. I didn't remember any accident. I didn't feel sick. Why the hospital? I laid there trying to puzzle it out. Last night was Christmas Eve. I was stopping at the Beacon Hotel in Boston. I was going to get up early this morning and go to Fitchburg and find Helen, my wife. After 3 years of separation, it would be nice to be with her again on Christmas Day. I turned in bed and looked out of the window. Christmas? Why, it was summer. There were trees and grass and flowers in bloom. I guess I twisted around or something, because the next thing I knew, a girl was leaning over me, smiling.
Hello there. Feeling better?
Well, I guess so. Am I supposed to be sick?
Well, no, not if you feel all right. We were beginning to get worried about you. You didn't seem to want to wake up.
We? Who's we?
Oh, Dr. Dunlap and all of us.
Well, what happened to me? Well, why am I in a hospital?
You've been very ill. But don't try to think about it, Mr. Lewis. Just get well.
You're, Amy, aren't you?
That's right. Good for you.
Amy. How did I know her name? Why was her face so familiar to me? I tried to think, and suddenly I remembered. I'd been dreaming about her. In one dream, I was up to my neck in quicksand, and she was trying to save me. She was crying, and her tears fell on my face, and she kissed me. That would have to be a dream, wouldn't it? Still, as I looked up into her eyes, it seemed very real. I could almost feel her lips. I dozed off, thinking of her, and when I woke up, Dr. Dunlap was standing beside my bed.
Well, Mr. Lewis, Miss Adams tells me you're bright and snappy this morning.
Yeah. Any reason why I have to stay in bed?
Oh, none at all. If you feel able, we'll get your clothes, and Miss Adams will take you down to the solarium, and you can sit in the sun. Now, how's that?
The solarium was a big glassed-in veranda where the patients sat around and took it easy. Played cards and read and talked. There was quite a crowd when we walked in, but nobody seemed to notice us. Amy, Miss Adams, introduced me to a girl who ran the newsstand. Her name was Ella. She sold cigarettes, candy bars, magazines. I sat down over to one side and looked the people over. Nobody seemed very sick, but they said silly things and laughed a lot. One man acted like he was catching a ball and throwing it to second base. Then he'd argue with the umpire over a bad decision, and suddenly it hit me, like a smash in the face. This wasn't a hospital. It was an insane asylum. I jumped up, but Amy put her hand on my arm. Dr. Dunlap appeared out of nowhere and pushed me back into the chair.
Easy, Mr. Lewis, easy now. Don't get excited.
I'm not excited. I just found out where I am, that's all.
Let's go up to your room and talk it over.
Talk what over? I'm in the wrong place. Maybe I'm a little sick, but I've got all my buttons. Get me out of here.
Mr. Lewis, please, you're making a disturbance. Go along with Miss Adams.
Doctor, I can manage.
Then please do it. We'll have a riot here if he doesn't quiet down.
Mr. Lewis, you don't want to get me into trouble, do you? We were getting along so nicely.
When she put it that way, I let them take me out of there and up to my room. But then I put up an argument, demanded to see the head man. Amy backed me up, too. She said she was sure I was okay and didn't belong in such a place. Dr. Dunlap hit the ceiling. They had a battle, a pip. He slammed out of the room, and she had a fit of crying. But the net result was that I was taken to the office of Professor Bird, the man who ran the asylum. He was a strange little guy, with a head cocked to one side like he was listening to something nobody else could hear.
Ah, Mr. Lewis, feeling better?
Why does everyone ask me that? Yes, I feel great.
Good. Do you remember me?
Should I?
Oh, not necessarily. What seems to be the trouble?
You just made a mistake, that's all. Got the wrong fellow. I don't belong here.
Well, that's strange. Your commitment papers seem to be in order.
I don't care about that. Listen to me.
Here, Mr. Lewis. Let's discuss this calmly. We're not in the habit of picking people off the streets haphazardly. Someone had to sign you in. Who was it, your parents?
My folks have been dead for years.
Your wife, perhaps?
She doesn't know I'm back in America. Probably thinks I'm dead. Come on, Professor, stop stalling. You've got it all on that paper.
Never mind this paper. Tell me about yourself. Were you in the war?
No, they wouldn't take me. Blood pressure or something. I went to Burma for the International Oil Company.
Oh? How was it in Burma?
Pretty rugged. I was there for 3 years. I'd be there yet, only I fell in front of a bulldozer and got my leg crushed. They shipped me back to San Diego, thinking they'd have to cut it off.
Well, fortunately, they didn't have to, huh? Did your wife know you were hurt?
Funny you should ask that. No, she didn't. You see, we used to go to dances a lot.
I see. You didn't fancy yourself with a crutch.
Does anybody?
But after you were discharged from the hospital in San Diego, did you communicate with her then?
No, I wanted to surprise her. She thought I was still in Burma. I took a train for Boston, arrived on December 23rd, a Thursday.
Yes?
So I went home, looking for Helen. She wasn't there. Somebody else lived in the house. She'd sold it. Knocked me a twister. I was born in that house. My grandfather built it. And it was gone.
Where was your wife?
Helen? She was in Fitchburg, working in a defense plant. But I didn't find that out until I ran into an old pal of mine that night. He almost keeled over when he saw me because everybody thought I was dead. You know, not hearing from me for more than a year.
And did you go to Fitchburg, see your wife?
No, I didn't want to see her right then.
Why not?
Oh, I was upset, I guess, about her selling the house. Besides, I'd been away more than 3 years. 1 day more wouldn't hurt. So I checked into a hotel, the Beacon House, room 305, I remember. I stretched out on the bed and tried to think things out.
Yes. You were lying on the bed and...
Oh, well, I fell asleep, that's all.
I see.
No use telling him how I laid there, thinking of Helen and wishing I'd gone on to Fitchburg. How I kept seeing her face like a great big painting on the ceiling. He'd think I was nuts if I told him how I could smell that queer perfume she used. And the feeling I got that she was there in the room with me.
And how long did you sleep, Mr. Lewis?
I don't know. What woke me up was someone knocking on the door. I got up and opened it and... That's all I remember.
Who was it at the door?
I don't know. It's just like the lights went out. I don't remember a thing until I woke up here this morning.
I see. Do you know where you are?
No.
This is a hospital for the mentally ill. This is the Flowerdale Hospital for the criminal insane.
Criminal insane? I'm not insane, and I'm not... I've had a blackout, that's all. Does that make me a criminal?
Oh, no, it's the other way around. The crime caused the blackout.
Crime? What crime? What did I do?
I can't tell you that.
I'll say you can't. You've got the wrong man. And you're afraid to admit it.
I wish that were true for your sake, Mr. Lewis. However, I attended your trial. The state called me as an authority on mental diseases. It was at my suggestion that you were sent here for treatment.
How? How long do I have to stay?
Until I'm convinced you are no longer a menace to society.
All right. Give me a test. I'll get out of here in a hurry.
I've just given you a test. And you failed badly.
Why? Because I can't remember being in trouble? Well, that could happen to anyone.
No, not in your case, Mr. Lewis. Your mind has drawn a certain a curtain across something it doesn't want to remember. The crime you committed is buried in your subconscious mind. Until you can remember everything that happened from the time you opened that door down to the present moment, I shall have to detain you. When you remember your crime and the reason you committed it, you can walk out of here a free man.
But you're pretty sure I won't do it, aren't you? Okay, I'm going to fool you. Dr. Dunlap, Miss Adams, you're witnesses to what he said.
Understand, Mr. Lewis, I'm interested in reasons.
You'll get everything. You're a man of your word. I'll be on the street tomorrow. Come on, Miss Adams. Outside in the corridor, I felt so relieved, I threw my arms around Amy and gave her a big kiss. Then we walked hand in hand toward the stairway. We met a couple of nurses, and Amy stopped to talk to them. I walked back to Professor Bird's office and listened at the door. He and Dr. Dunlap were still talking about me. I heard them mention my name. I opened the door real easy so they wouldn't notice it.
Why, he's been a walking zombie. He couldn't talk, had to be fed, bathed, and put to bed like a child. I'm really very encouraged. It wouldn't surprise me a bit if he recovered.
Don't be absurd, Dunlap. Such cases never recover. You'll struggle a few weeks, try to remember, then chuck it.
Oh, by the way, I think I ought to know. What did he do?
Well, understand I don't want it noised around. But you'd better tell his nurse that he's dangerous. Especially when he thinks he smells perfume.
Oh, yes. Yes, he did mention perfume.
For your information alone, the man's a killer.
Really?
A rattlesnake. He strangled a woman with his hands, and he'll do it again. Here, read his history.
That's all I heard, because Amy picked that moment to come and get me. But I'd heard enough to realize that something was terribly wrong. Me? A killer? Why, I never hurt anyone in my life. I'd been framed. Somebody had committed a murder and pinned it on me because I'd lost my memory and couldn't defend myself. The only way to get free was to recall everything that happened, every single thing from the moment I opened that door. What if I couldn't remember? What if I never remembered? It meant being kept here, locked up for life, for a crime I didn't commit. Nice spot for an innocent man.
For Suspense, Roma Wines are bringing you as star Robert Young in The High Wall, a radio drama by Bradbury Foote from his play of the same name. Roma Wines' presentation tonight in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Between the acts of Suspense, this is Truman Bradley for Roma Wines. We Americans are noted for taking the job home with us. We frequently sit down to dinner, our minds still occupied with the work of the day, and get no real pleasure from our meal. My favorite recipe for adding enjoyment to food is a glass of tempting Roma California sherry before dinner. Designed by the goodness of nature and the skill of man to make food taste better, Roma sherry is the perfect first call to dinner. As you pour the golden amber goodness of Roma sherry into a glass, enjoy its fresh, full fragrance. Then sip Roma sherry. Savor with your tongue the happy miracle of sun, grape, and cask that give Roma sherry the pleasing nut-like taste so many millions prefer. Yes, the simplest dinner becomes more enjoyable when introduced by Roma sherry. Prove that yourself. Enjoy Roma sherry before your dinner tomorrow. For Roma, America's favorite wine, costs no more than ordinary wines. So insist on Roma, R-O-M-A, Roma wines. Remember, more Americans enjoy Roma than any other wine.
And now Roma Wines bring back to our Hollywood soundstage Robert Young in The High Wall, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
When I promised Professor Bird that I'd give him the whole story the next day, I was absolutely sure I could do it. But I couldn't. I couldn't remember a single thing that happened during that lost time. Absolutely blank I was. I racked my brain for a clue, lay awake nights torturing myself until I nearly had a nervous breakdown. Then, after about 3 months, I gave up. Just like Professor Bird said I would. Chucked it. When I did, a great feeling of relief came over me. It was like a heavy weight had been lifted off my chest. Amy noticed the change in me, and I told her the reason one night very late when she came in. She didn't like it a bit.
Bob, no. You mustn't give up. Don't stop trying.
Amy, there must be some easier way to get out of this place.
Escape, you mean? You can't do it, Bob. There's a high wall.
Yeah. Well, there is another way. A sure way. I can go out feet first.
Feet for... Bob. Bob, you wouldn't do that.
I'm not going to spend the rest of my natural life in this insane asylum. If there's no other way to escape, I'll go out, like I said, in a box. Suddenly, she was crying like a kid. Helen used to cry like that. It never struck me before, but Amy was a lot like Helen. As I watched her, it almost seemed like she was Helen. I guess I got a little mixed up because I put my arm around her and lifted her face up to mine. For a second, I seemed to be holding Helen. Then I got things straightened out in my mind. I stepped back. Sorry, Amy. I guess I got a little out of line.
That's all right, Bob.
I wouldn't want you to think I was, well, you know.
No? Why not?
Well, you're going to be Mrs. Dr. Dunlap.
No, that's off, Bob. There's somebody else.
Oh, who is it? She didn't answer. Didn't have to, I knew. She stood there looking like she expected me to do something about it, but I didn't. Then she beckoned to me and made a hush sign, and I followed her out of the room. The ward was quiet. Everyone was asleep. We tiptoed into the solarium and shut the door.
I suppose you know this is liable to cost me my job.
Look at that moon.
Bob, you wouldn't really do anything to yourself, would you?
Why not? I'm not doing myself or anyone else much good locked up in this place.
Bob, dying isn't the answer.
Yes, it is, Amy. Dying is the answer to everything.
Oh, Bob, don't talk like that.
You know, in Burma once, in the jungle, I saw a snake right close to me. A king cobra it was. I stood perfectly still, hoping it hadn't seen me. I didn't breathe. Then finally I couldn't stand it anymore. I made a quick jump. But he got me. Right through the leg, here. It was a swell chance to die. But I didn't want to. I crawled through the jungle to a first aid station, and I managed to pull through. For what? I'd have been better off to die right there.
Oh, no.
I kept on talking like that, hardly knowing what I was saying, because I had a queer feeling that I was telling it to Helen and letting her know what I'd gone through for her. Helen always wanted security, and I went out there to get it for her. Those oil companies paid big money.
Bob, if you could only remember who it was when you opened that door.
Yeah. What's that perfume you're wearing?
What? Perfume? You know we aren't allowed to use perfume.
Funny, I could swear. Lean closer. Of course you are. It's that same stuff that...
Go on. Why don't you?
What?
Kiss me. I want you to.
Sorry to interrupt, but we do have rules here.
Hold it, Dr. Dunlap. The light isn't necessary.
Go to your room, Mr. Lewis.
That's all right, but don't throw the hooks into Amy. It wasn't her fault.
Never mind, Bob. I can defend myself. Go along.
I knew she could handle him, so I went up to my room. Besides, I had something on my mind. While I was holding Amy in my arms, I had a vision, I guess you'd call it. I saw Helen. She was lying on the bed. The doctor was bending over her. The room was crowded with people. Everyone was tense, frightened. Then the doctor straightened up and said, "She's dead." Helen, my wife, was dead. I remembered it now, distinctly. But that was all. I couldn't remember how or why it happened. It was just like a photograph. Nothing led up to it, and what happened after was perfectly blank. But the fact that Helen was dead didn't seem like a surprise exactly. After a while, I heard Dr. Dunlap come up and lock me in. He hesitated outside the door like he wanted to come in and bawl me out. Then he went away. The next thing, Amy was shaking me, trying to wake me up.
Bob.
Huh? What's the matter?
We're sunk, Bob. He was furious. I'm discharged, and you're going to be put in another ward.
Why, that louse, he can't get away with it.
Listen. Shh. I know how you can escape.
What? How?
Ella quit her job. She's leaving in the morning. Her car will be parked in the driveway outside the solarium. All you have to do is get in the car, lie down on the floor, and pull a rug over you.
Oh, Amy, that's screwy. How would I get outside? The solarium door is always locked.
That's it. Ella's going to unlock it before she turns in her keys.
Yeah? But I'd be seen.
No, they'll all be in church. It's Sunday, Bob.
Oh.
The minute they start to sing, open the door and slip out. Oh, Bob, it's the chance of a lifetime. Ella leaving makes it easy. She'll drive right through the front gate and they won't even stop her. Oh, Bob, say you'll do it. I can't go away and leave you here.
Well, what did I have to lose? Besides, she started to cry and carry on, so I said, all right. And the funny part of it was, it did work. I'll bet we were 50 miles from the asylum before they knew I was missing. Ella picked up Amy at the edge of town, then hit for the open road. We kept going. The girls got me a hot dog at a roadside stand. We kept on. We began to wonder where we'd spend the night. I didn't know where I was, but Ella said she knew of a little motel, one of those places where they don't ask any questions. It was late before we found the place. We took 2 bungalows, the girls in one, me in the other. I got them settled for the night and then started to leave. Amy followed me outside.
Bob, just a minute. Goodness, it's dark. Where are you?
Here?
Oh. You forgot something, Bob.
Oh,
Oh, Bob.
you're sweet. Why, you're trembling like a leaf. Scared?
It could be that. We've been very lucky all day.
Yes. But I think we'd better split up tomorrow.
Oh, no.
Don't you see? They're only looking for me. They don't connect me with you girls, but Dr. Dunlap's no fool. He's probably figured it out by this time. If we travel together, we're sure to be caught.
No. If we separate, I'll never find you again. Bob, don't you want me?
Amy, don't talk like that.
If you're still thinking of Helen.
I'm not. She's dead.
Oh. You know.
Sure. But who told you?
Dr. Dunlap?
Funny, never mentioned it to me. What else did he tell you?
Oh, Bob, she isn't here anymore, and we are.
I pulled away from her and walked across to my bungalow. I guess she thought I was sore.
Bob?
I wasn't. It was just that I knew I couldn't make her understand. There was something I couldn't explain to anyone. Helen wasn't gone. She'd never be gone, not to me. I opened the door and went in. The bungalow was a crummy little place. It reminded me of that hole I lived in Burma. I was groggy from driving all day. Amy had started me thinking of Helen. I laid there on the bed, remembering things. The night I met Helen. The first time we danced together. Our wedding and our honeymoon at Jack Pomeroy's cottage in the Berkshires. I didn't know Jack very well then, but she did. Those were happy days. What you don't know doesn't hurt you. I was happy afterwards, too. Each time I forgave her, we'd go on another honeymoon. She called it starting over from scratch. But I never should have gone away. That's what did it. She couldn't take it. Well, I'll go up to Fitchburg tomorrow and we'll patch things up. Someone's knocking at the door. That's funny. Nobody knows I'm back in town. Hello?
Bob, let me in.
Who is it?
Bob, I want to talk to you.
Well, I'll be... Who told you I was here?
What?
Come in.
Bob, listen, I was talking it over with Ella, and she thinks you're right.
Oh, I get it. I met Sam Bradley today. He must have phoned you.
Bob, you're half asleep.
Or maybe he phoned Jack Pomeroy.
Who in the world
That's
is...
the answer. You and Jack want to beat me to the punch.
Oh. No. No.
Why didn't Jack come with you? Didn't he have the guts?
Easy now, Bob. Let's sit down and talk.
Get away from me.
Very well. I'll have to call Dr. Dunlap.
Get away from that phone. Sit down. Better sit down. Ah. Merry Christmas, Helen.
So, that's it. All right. I'm sitting.
Who did you say you'd call?
Dr. Dunlap.
Is that a new one?
Or Dr. Hoffman. He'll give you a nice cold bath.
That's supposed to be funny. What do you want here, anyway?
Well, you've been sick. I thought you might need me.
Need you? I never needed you. I know it now.
All right. Then maybe I need you.
And that's a lie. Because I happen to know what the score is. Sam Bradley told me. What about my home? Somebody else is living in it. What a rotten deal. I'm fighting snakes and mud and slime, sweating it out in swill piles and wondering if I'll ever see daylight again. And you're here in Boston having the time of your life on my money. You didn't want me to come back. But me, like a fool, I used to drop off to sleep thinking of you. And then pick you up in my dream. I could hear you laugh, see you dancing, smell the perfume in your hair. I'd talk to you and you answered me. We planned things we'd do when I got back. And all the time you were hoping I'd never come back.
Bob, dear, don't cry. Don't cry. Come on, let's go talk to Ella.
Sure.
I'm only trying to help you.
You helped me enough. I promised Bradley I'd kill you when I found you. I've got to go through with it.
Bob, I love you.
Oh, not frightened, huh?
You won't hurt me, Bob. I love you.
The last time you begged for mercy.
Bob, I'm Amy. This is Amy. I'm Amy. Don't do it. Bob.
I was pressing my fingers into her throat. She died game this time. Didn't kick or make much of a struggle like she did before. It was almost like she wanted me to do it. And yet, as long as she lasted, she seemed to be begging me with her eyes not to do it. It didn't take long. Then she went limp, and I let her fall to the floor. When I let go of her, I kind of lost track of things. Another blackout. I woke up about a week ago. It's taken me this long to get things straightened out. It's winter now. My nurse tells me. I think she's lying, but I can't prove it. You see, there's no window in my room. The walls are padded, and the furniture's nailed to the floor.
Suspense.
Presented by Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world. This is Truman Bradley for Roma Wines. The easiest way I know for a woman to win compliments for her cooking is to serve Roma California Burgundy regularly with meals. The tempting fragrance and robust taste of red Roma Burgundy harmonize perfectly with a juicy steak, oven-browned roast, or sizzling chop. And you just don't know how delicious spaghetti or hamburger can be until you enjoy these savory dishes with good Roma Burgundy. For Roma Burgundy brings out the full, rich flavor of hearty foods, makes dining more enjoyable, more friendly. Try Roma Burgundy with your dinner tomorrow. When you buy Roma, you enjoy America's favorite wine. Yet Roma, R-O-M-A, Roma wine costs no more than ordinary wines. And may I suggest Roma California Champagne as the perfect touch of smartness for bridal shower or reception? Roma Champagne is ideal, too, as a going-away gift for the bridal couple.
Robert Young may soon be seen in the Hal Wallace Paramount production, The Searching Wind. Next Thursday, same time, Roma Wines will bring you Hume Cronin as star of Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills.
Produced by William Spear for the Roma Wine Company of Fresno, California. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. Now, Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world. Roma Wines present Suspense.
Tonight, Roma Wines bring you Mr. Hume Cronin, who is currently being seen in the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer production, The Green Years, as star of Too Many Smiths, a suspense play produced, edited, and directed for Roma Wines by William Spear.
Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, is presented for your enjoyment by Roma Wines. That's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines. Those excellent California wines that can add so much pleasantness to the way you live, to your happiness and entertaining guests, to your enjoyment of everyday meals. Yes, right now a glassful would be very pleasant, as Roma Wines bring you Hume Cronin in a remarkable tale of suspense.
Right in here, Doc.
What happened, Sergeant Henry?
I picked this guy up in a depot. We've been looking for him for 3 days. He's standing in the crowd screaming somebody made a sucker out of him. Getting violent.
Well, I better have a look at him. All right, now. No one's going to hurt you.
Made a sucker out of me. There he goes again.
Oh, who made a sucker out of you?
Sure, she made a sucker out of me.
Hand me my bang. Here.
What are you going to do, Doc?
Give him something to quiet him down.
You think he's pulling an act?
It's hard to tell. Maybe temporary insanity. Pull up his sleeve.
Come on, you. Easy.
Made a sucker out of me, I tell you.
Who did? Who made a sucker out of you?
Fate. It was fate, Yeah. Say, that's a gag. A gag.
This guy's crazy.
Maybe. That's far enough. Hold him. There.
Will that stuff put him to sleep?
Sure.
How long will he be under?
About 10 hours.
She ran out on me. She let me flat.
It's starting to work.
Mm-hmm. Very fast reaction.
I'll come back and question him later.
Now, what's he in for?
Murder.
Mm-hmm. Who'd he kill?
Oh, some cheap confidence mug. But the motive we haven't got.
See, Wallingford's my name. Yeah, Charles Richard Wallingford. Don't call me Smith. That's not my name.
He's talking in their sleep.
Sometimes they do under the influence of a sedative. Especially when they've got something on their conscience they want to get rid of.
I'd better take notes. And you stay here as a witness, Doc.
Yeah, that's me. Charles Richard Wallingford. But don't let that fancy moniker fool you. No, sir. No, I'm not a banker or an executive. I'm just a guy who works as a porter in a big office building downtown. But don't think I didn't have any ambition. I knew someday I'd get my break, and when I did, there was nothing going to stop me from going places. Not a thing. No, sir. Take that night, for instance. It was 6 o'clock, and most of the offices were emptying out. I had my broom and mop and was ready to start cleaning the office of P.J. Rogers. P.J., he's president of the Apex Advertising Agency. I always like to start with the big boys. I looked around P.J.'s office. Soft, easy chairs. Lots of buttons to push to make people jump. Yeah, this would be the life. Well, I started my broom going. I swept around. Then I bent down to pick up the wastebasket. A piece of torn paper caught my eye. Now, I'll tell you something. I don't know whether it was fate or just plain curiosity, but I read what was written on it. It was a memorandum from the desk of S.M. Parry to P.J. Rogers. And it said, the judges have decided that the winner of the toothpaste contest to be Pat Smith of Boston. I knew this was the Century toothpaste contest that just ended last week. 25,000 smackaroos to the winner. And this guy, Pat Smith of Boston, won it. Yeah, some guys have all the luck. Just for writing a slogan. $25,000, and the guy doesn't even know he won it yet. Hey, he doesn't even know he won it. But I do. I got what is called an inspiration. According to the radio, the winner won't be announced till the 15th of this month. Today's the 12th. Charlie, my boy. Charlie, my boy, I say to myself, when fate decides to hand you a break, who are you to turn it down? I stalled around till I made sure everyone had left the agency. Then I went for the filing cabinets that had the entries. They were listed from A to Z. I found the names that began with S and started looking for Pat Smith from Boston. There were over 200 Smiths, Abe Smith, Betty Smith, Carl Smith. I went through them till I came to Ollie Smith, and the next one was Pat Smith of 500 Commonwealth Avenue, Boston, Massachusetts. I copied the address and the slogan. Ah, brother, to me that slogan sounded corny, but, well, who am I to judge $25,000? I went downstairs to the locker room, I changed my clothes, and I beat it over to Grand Central, and I caught the midnight to Boston.
Front boy.
500 Commonwealth Avenue was a big hotel with a sign reading for men only. I walked up to the desk.
May I help you?
You have a Mr. Pat Smith staying here?
Pat Smith? Now, let me see. George Smith. Harry Smith. Ah, yes, Pat Smith. Room 1133.
1133, thanks.
Oh, say, mister, look, we have...
The clerk started to yell something after me, but the elevator door closed and I didn't wait. Yeah, I didn't wait. I wish I had, but I didn't.
Yeah?
Hello? My name's Wallingford. Charlie Wallingford. I'd like to talk to you.
What about?
About $25,000.
Is this a joke?
That kind of money isn't funny, mister.
Come on in.
Thanks.
Just move my clothes and you can sit down.
Yeah, thanks.
Now, what can I do for you, Mr. Wallingford?
Mr. Smith, how would you like to make $12,500?
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it sure is.
What do I have to do?
You entered the Century Toothpaste contest, didn't you?
The slogan contest? Yeah, how'd you know?
I work for the people that run the contest.
I see.
And I can fix it so that you can win first prize.
I'm beginning to understand.
Good. And I don't have to do any explaining.
This isn't exactly legal, is it?
Well, maybe not.
I thought all these contests were run on the up and up.
They are. This happens to be what you'd call an unusual circumstance.
I see.
Somebody has to win. Might as well be you.
Tell me, why of all the contestants did you happen to pick me?
Oh, I don't know. Just chalk it up to fate.
Well, suppose I don't agree to your proposition.
Then I'll find somebody else who will.
Simple as that?
Yeah.
All right, it's a deal, Mr. Wallingford.
Just plain Charlie to all my business friends.
Shake.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you're busy.
Not
here.
at all.
Well, don't you have some kind of job you got to get to?
No. That's why I came to Boston.
Oh. How long you been here?
2 days.
Hey, how come your entry had this address?
Oh, I reserved this room a month ago. I've been using it as my mailing address.
Oh, I see. Where you from, Pat?
Nowhere in particular, just where my business takes me.
You don't say. You got any family?
No, not a soul.
Maybe you have friends here in Boston, huh?
Not a one.
Well, that's too bad.
Why the look?
Oh, nothing. I was just thinking.
Yeah, about the money?
Right the first time.
You know, it's too bad our paths didn't cross before.
Why's that?
I think we'd have made a good team.
What's your racket?
Stocks and bonds.
Sell them?
Mm-hmm.
Legitimate?
What do you think?
I don't. Say, isn't contests out of your alley?
Oh, it's just a hobby.
I see. But sometimes they pay off, huh? Come on, let's blow this place and really celebrate our little deal.
Sure, anything you say.
I knew I had this guy figured from the second I laid eyes on him. Just a small-time confidence mug. And I knew he wasn't going to play 50-50 with me. No, sir. The minute he got his hands on that dough, I'd have to sing for my half. So I decided to take it all. I could be Pat Smith for a couple of days. And just so there wouldn't be too many Smiths, I'd fix this one up with a one-way ticket. We went to a place for coffee and sandwiches. I had some of my sleeping pills with me. By the time we got to the apple pie, he was feeling them.
Something wrong with me.
What's the matter?
My head going around like a top.
Come on, Tommy. Yeah. Give me your arm.
Yeah.
The air will straighten you out.
I just want to lie down.
You will. In a little while.
Where are you going?
Just walking.
I want to lie down.
Hey, now, wait a minute. Take it easy. Hey. Here. Hold up.
Why are we walking out in this dark?
Just to get some air. Bring you around.
All right.
Hey there, hey.
Yeah?
What's wrong, mister?
Well, nothing, officer. My friend here isn't feeling good.
Yeah? Better let me have a look at him.
Oh, sure.
Hey, you wake up.
I just want to lay down.
Okay, mister. Just want to check up. Lots of funny things happen around here at night.
Oh, you can't be too careful. Good night, officer.
Good night.
I waited until the cop disappeared into the fog. Smith had passed completely out of the picture. I dragged him out to the end of the dock. I looked around me and I found a piece of lead pipe, and then it was over. I stripped off his clothes and I changed with him. I stuck the pipe under his belt and I pushed him into the water. I watched his body sink. Then I left the dock and went back to the hotel, went up to Smith's room. After a while, I went to sleep. Yeah?
Mr. Smith? Mr. Pat Smith?
Speaking?
There's a young lady waiting for you.
Waiting for me?
Yes, sir. She says she's your fiancée.
For Suspense, Roma Wines are bringing you as star Hume Cronin in Too Many Smiths by Arthur L. Gray. Roma Wines' presentation tonight in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Between the acts of Suspense, this is Truman Bradley for Roma Wines. Visiting friends in Hollywood, I noticed that more and more of them now entertain with wine. And of all wines served in America, Roma, of course, is the most popular. There are good sound reasons so many smart Americans prefer Roma wine for entertaining. Roma wine is moderate, inexpensive, and easy to serve. And Roma wine is always delicious, always unvaryingly fine. For Roma, America's greatest vintner, is able to select from more grapes of choice varieties from California's finest vineyards than any other winery. And to this rich treasure of fine grapes, Roma adds years of winemaking skill and resources unmatched in America. Yet Roma wine, America's first choice, costs no more than ordinary wines. Right now, Roma dealers are featuring fine red Roma California table wines, Burgundy, Claret, Zinfandel. For an adventure in good dining, try Roma Burgundy, Claret, or Zinfandel with a juicy steak, savory pot roast, or spaghetti with meat sauce. You'll discover food with Roma is food at its best. So insist on Roma, R-O-M-A, Roma wines, enjoyed by more Americans than any other wine.
And now, Roma Wines bring back to our Hollywood soundstage Hume Cronin in Too Many Smiths, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Hello? Hello? Mr. Smith? Did you hear me, sir? Your fiancée.
My fiancée?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I'm coming right down.
She'll be waiting for you in the reception room.
This didn't jive. Smith said he didn't know anybody in Boston. I started to break out in a sweat. I had to go down and face her. Trying to avoid it would make things look suspicious. I took my time dressing, but my mind was going like a machine gun. But it was no use. There was nothing to do but face her and to try and bluff my way. Pardon me, miss. Are you looking for Pat Smith?
Yes.
Oh, I'm Pat Smith.
Oh, now I'm afraid there must be some mistake.
I guess there is.
The Mr. Smith I'm looking for is my fiancé.
Are you sure he's registered in this hotel?
Oh, I am, very sure.
Well,
Oh, how foolish of me. There must be two Pat Smiths here. You and my fiancé.
Yeah, of course.
It's
Yeah.
such a big hotel. I'll ask the clerk.
Yeah, do that.
Goodbye, Mr. Smith. I'm terribly sorry I disturbed you.
Well, that's okay. Two Pat Smiths. That was something I hadn't counted on. I watched her cross the lobby to the desk. She spoke to the clerk. He smiled and he picked up the phone. The dame sat down and waited. In a few minutes, a middle-aged guy walked up to the desk and the clerk pointed out this dame to him. I took a good look at this other Pat Smith and beat it into the elevator and went upstairs to my room. I headed for the desk and I started going through the late Pat Smith things. I found his papers and then I saw what I was looking for. A copy of the slogan he'd written. Brother, I breathed a sigh of relief. It was the same as the one I copied from the agency's files. Fate is sure sticking closer to me than a suspicious wife. That stupid clerk would have sent me to the wrong Smith, and if I'd knocked him off, I really would have been in a jam. You know, I didn't sleep good all that night. Around 8 a.m., I headed for the drugstore in the lobby. My head was buzzing. I wanted a cup of black coffee. As I was drinking my second cup, I glanced in the mirror in front of me, and I saw the second Pat Smith come in. I turned around to watch him buy some stuff at the counter, razor blades and shaving soap, cream, stuff like that, and a large tube of Century toothpaste. Toothpaste. It was only then it began to creep into my mind. Maybe this Pat Smith had entered the contest also. And if so, maybe he was the guy that was going to collect the 25 grand. Maybe I'd been barking up the wrong tree. A sick, weak, empty feeling settled in my insides. I put a quarter on the counter and followed Smith into the lobby. I beg your pardon.
Yes?
Isn't your name Smith? Pat Smith?
Yes, it is.
Funny thing, that's my name also.
Oh, yes. I heard there was another Pat Smith staying here.
You mind if I sit down?
No, go right ahead.
Thanks. Kind of funny, two Pat Smiths living under the same roof.
Well, I don't know. Smith's a very common name.
You're right there. That's how I met your girlfriend.
My girlfriend?
Yeah, the tall, blonde, good-looking dame.
Oh, yeah, I remember. But wasn't she looking for you?
I don't get you.
Well, the clerk telephoned me in my room that she was waiting downstairs, and when I met her, it seems that I wasn't the Pat Smith she was looking for. Darn it.
You weren't?
No, so naturally I assumed it was you.
Couldn't be a third Pat Smith here.
Well, hardly. I spoke to the clerk about it, and he checked the register.
Maybe she had the wrong hotel.
Well, I doubt that very much, because I've seen her about the lobby for the past few days.
You have?
Well, what's wrong?
Huh? Nothing. I was just thinking. Yeah. I see you're doing a crossword puzzle.
Uh-huh, yeah. You interested in puzzles?
Sometimes. I like contests better. You know, the kind they have on the radio?
Yeah.
Did you ever enter one of those?
Well, as a matter of fact, I have, yeah.
How about the Century toothpaste contest?
Of course, at $25,000.
That's it.
That's quite a big prize to shoot for.
Yeah, sure is. What kind of slogan did you write?
Oh, I think it's pretty good. I got a copy right here in my pocket. Care to read it?
Oh, I sure would.
Let me see now. Here it is. I don't think it'll win first prize, but it might win one of the lesser ones. Well, what do you think, Pat?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Much better than the one a certain party I knew wrote. didn't take a book critic to see that the slogan this Smith wrote was better than the other one. I was a fool. If I'd looked through the files of the agency more carefully, I would have seen that there were two Smiths and which Smith won the dough. I was in a tough spot. Tonight at 10, they were going to announce the winner, and I had just 6 hours to figure out an angle or lose the $25,000. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Smith.
Who's this?
Mr. Smith's fiancé, remember?
Yeah, I remember. What do you want?
I think you and I better have a little talk.
What about?
About my fiancé.
Where are you?
In the lounge.
I'll be right down. Well, hello.
Sit down, won't you?
Thanks. Okay, what's on your mind?
You?
Oh, I'm flattered.
You needn't be.
Okay. What about me that's so interesting?
Why you killed Pat Smith.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Let's not be stubborn about this, Mr. Wallingford. Must I repeat my question?
No. Who are you?
You already know that.
What's your name?
Betty.
Betty what?
I'm asking the questions.
How do you know he's dead?
In the evening papers.
Here, let me see that.
Here. Police discover body in Charles River.
First thought to be Charles Wallingford, but fingerprints taken from the dead man proved his identity to be Pat Smith, small-time confidence man wanted by the police in 3 states. Police are looking for Wallingford. New York City police have discovered that Wallingford's been missing from his rooming house for the past 5 days.
You see how I know.
Where do you fit?
I was supposed to meet Smith here. We had a little job planned.
Oh, I see.
You went and spoiled it. Why? Come on, start talking. If I don't like the tone of your conversation, maybe the police will.
Well, I couldn't see any way out but to tell her the whole story. I couldn't bluff. I was scared, and she knew it. She didn't say anything while I was talking. She just sat and stared at me.
I always told Pat those contests would be the death of him.
Well, that's how it is. This other guy will collect all the dough.
You giving up so easily?
You have any ideas?
$25,000.
Yeah, I was a fool to get mixed up in this in the first place.
Are you sure this Smith is going to win?
Can't be anyone else.
Yeah. Well, you've gone so far, why not take another step?
What do you mean?
I met this other Smith just as I met you.
I know.
And from the way his eyes lit up, I could see he was kind of sorry I wasn't his fiancé.
So?
I don't think Mr. Smith would mind very much taking a walk with me down to the river, holding hands.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Just the way you did the other job.
Well, I don't know.
Scared?
No, I'm game.
Good.
You get him out of that dock. I'll take over from there.
Don't worry. He'll be there.
Yeah.
By the time the cops fish him out of the river, we'll have the money and plenty of distance.
You mean we go together?
What's the matter? Don't I appeal to you?
Oh, sure.
Well, wait here. I'm going to phone him and cast out the bait.
Okay. Here's hoping he bites.
Don't worry. He will.
I watched her walk out of the lounge to the phone booth across the lobby, every eye on the joint on her. I knew Smith didn't have a chance. And if I hung around her, I wouldn't either. She was murdered, that dame. After this job was over, I was heading in the opposite direction. I could see her talking, and when she hung up, I could tell by the expression on her face that this Smith was a cooked turkey.
He'll be down in 5 minutes. You better beat it.
Okay, baby. You're carrying the ball now. See you on the dock. I glanced back at the table, and she was sitting there, calmly powdering her nose for the kill. Then fate stepped in again. I don't know why, but it suddenly hit me that maybe she was giving me a double cross. After all, how long do I know this dame? I went back into the lounge through the street entrance, and I managed to sneak into a booth behind the one she was sitting in. In a few minutes, Smith came in through the lobby entrance and walked over to her.
Well, good evening. I came down as quickly as I could.
So I see. I suppose my phone call surprised you.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yeah.
I'll come to the point, Mr. Smith. Somebody is going to murder you.
What?
Please just keep your voice down.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. But in heaven's name, why? Why would anyone want to murder me?
For $25,000.
But I don't have that much money.
You will.
Look, I don't understand.
The Century Toothpaste Contest. You hit the jackpot.
How do you know? The winner won't be announced until 10 tonight.
I got a way of knowing these things.
I'm going to call the police.
Sit down, Mr. Smith. I got a better idea. I know the only way.
She lowered her voice, but by straining, I got wind of what she was pulling. Yeah, that much was clear. She wanted the money, but without a murder rap. Then she was going to tip off the police about me, which would give her clear sailing with Smith and the dough. Yeah, she was clever, all right. But, you know, it didn't burn me up. I wasn't even sore. I was just tired and scared. I wanted to get away. Anywhere, so long as it was far from Boston. I had a few dollars left, so I beat it. I went to the railroad depot. My train didn't leave for an hour, so I walked around. I bought a paper. I felt like a punch-drunk fighter. I was licked, and I knew it. Yes, sir. Fate had let me down. I was through. I was standing in the crowd, waiting for the gate to open when I saw it. Right there on the front page, I saw it. I started to laugh. I couldn't stop.
What's the matter, buddy? Hey, you're Charles Wallingford, alias Pat Smith. You're wanted for murder. What a story. Starts out as a simple swindle and winds up murder.
Yeah, but his story still doesn't tell me what I want to know.
What's that, Doc?
The cause for his temporary insanity.
Oh, it doesn't at that. Hey, that newspaper. He was reading... What? On the first page. Yeah. Here. Take a look at this.
The winner of the $25,000 Century Toothpaste Contest was announced last night. The lucky winner was Miss Pat Smith of the little town of Boston, Georgia.
Suspense. Presented by Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world. Before we hear again from Hume Cronin, star of Too Many Smiths, tonight's suspense play, this is Truman Bradley for Roma Wines. Just 2 more shopping days before Father's Day, June 16th. This year, give Dad something special, a gift he'll long remember with pride and warm appreciation. Honor him with a bottle of magnificent Roma California champagne, traditional wine for the truly special occasion. Or, if you're planning a family party for Dad, make it really festive with the bubbling brilliance of pale gold, sprightly dry Roma champagne. For Roma champagne pays the perfect compliment due the man of the house on his day. And throughout this month of weddings, anniversaries, and gala social events, you can rely on Roma champagne to add the subtle touch of continental smartness that makes your hospitality outstanding. Yet, delicious Roma champagne, so lavish, so glamorous, so flattering to your guests, is really inexpensive. When you shop tomorrow, get Roma champagne. That's R-O-M-A, Roma wine, America's first choice.
This is Hume Cronin. It's always a great pleasure to have an appearance on Suspense. Mr. Spear's been telling me about next week's show, which sounds like one we won't want to miss. June Dupre will star in the Suspense play, which takes place on a cross-country train trip. A play which tells the story of an apparently devoted wife and of her husband who's traveling with her.
Next Thursday, same time, Roma Wines will bring you June Dupre as star of Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills.
Produced by William Spear for the Roma Wine Company of Fresno, California. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. Now, Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world. Roma Wines present
Suspense. Tonight, Roma Wines bring you Miss June Dupre as star of Your Devoted Wife, a suspense play produced, edited, and directed for Roma Wines by William Spear.
Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, is presented for your enjoyment by Roma Wines. That's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines. Those excellent California wines that can add so much pleasantness to the way you live, to your happiness in entertaining guests, to your enjoyment of everyday meals. Yes, right now a glassful would be very pleasant as Roma Wines bring you June Dupre in a remarkable tale of suspense.
Careful when you lift him, won't you?
Yes, ma'am.
You there on the end. Keep his body higher. Oh, please watch.
I'm doing my
Oh,
best.
do look, that step's terribly high. Where is that porter?
What compartment, lady?
What? Oh dear. 1 minute.
Hey, now look, he's not too light, lady.
Yes, I know. Here it is. Compartment E.
No, I guess that's down at the other end of the car.
Now wait for me. Where is that porter? Oh, there you are.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Mrs. Thornton. This is my husband. He's very ill.
Yes, ma'am. You're in compartment E. The bed's made up.
Oh, thank you. Please keep him covered well.
This way, please.
And do be careful when you lift him from the stretcher.
I'll attend to that, ma'am.
Lift him from under his arms. Easy now. Easy. Watch the door.
Right in here, please. Lay it right down there. That's fine.
Are you certain there are plenty of blankets?
Yes, ma'am. You can have more if you like.
Well, I guess that's all.
Yes, thank you very much. Oh, yes. Will you tell Dr. Stevens everything went well?
Yes, ma'am. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I'm the porter for this car, ma'am. I'll be with the car to Chicago. Just ring if you want anything.
Now remember, that'll be all for now.
Yes, ma'am.
I do wish we'd start. So stuffy in here.
What was that?
Oh, Martin, you startled me.
Where are we?
How are you, darling? Did you rest well?
I'm all right. Feel rather groggy. What kind of room is this?
We're in a compartment, dear.
On a train?
Yes, dear. Now, don't try to sit up.
But why?
Well, please put the covers over you.
All right. Another one of your tricks, Melissa?
Now, you know perfectly well what the doctor said.
But
dear.
you never said anything. You never told me.
Well, I knew you'd be angry, darling.
Angry? What's the use?
Then you're not, really. Oh, darling, I'm so glad.
Are you?
Yes, darling. Why do you ask?
No, madam.
Are you warm enough?
Yes.
Could I get you something?
No, thanks.
I detest train rides. I would have made plane reservations
Only it would have been difficult to prop a drug man up in a seat.
Oh, Martin.
It's the truth, isn't it?
I don't know what you mean.
But you do know I was carried on this train. You do know you gave me sleeping pills to put
You're ill, darling. Very ill.
You've done a wonderful job. A very skillful planner. You ought to be congratulated.
The doctor told me to give you these sleeping pills when you didn't rest well.
Come now, Melissa. Have I complained lately?
Well, no. But I can tell you're restless in your sleep.
Oh? How did you determine that?
I've tiptoed into your room lately when you've been sleeping.
Well, I have a watchdog as well as a wife.
You needn't be rude.
Please, Melissa, we know each other too well.
Darling, you mustn't get upset.
No, we mustn't get upset.
Let's make this a pleasant trip, shall we?
As you wish. Well, where are you taking me?
Before I say anything at all, I want you to know that what I'm doing is all for you. Do you understand?
Perfect.
You don't sound as if you do.
I'm ill, Melissa. Remember?
You can be most exasperating at times, Martin.
Quit stalling. Let's have it.
Well, the doctor told me there's a chance, and a good one, that the clinic he recommended could determine exactly what's the matter with you.
No?
Perhaps even cure you.
I think not.
Oh, darling, why don't you try? You do want to live, don't you?
I don't know why.
What did you say, dear?
I said I'll try.
There, you see? If you'll just make a little effort, then...
How long am I going to be cooped up in this thing?
We'll be in Chicago tomorrow and take you right to the clinic.
Your scheme won't work, Melissa.
What on earth do you mean? What scheme, dear? Yes.
Tickets, please.
Yes, one moment. Promise me you'll behave.
Go ahead. Get him the tickets.
Your tickets, please?
I'll come outside with you.
Oh.
Here they are.
Oh, thank you. You won't change trains, madam. This will be your car on through.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I understand your husband's very ill.
Yes, very.
If there's anything I can do...
No, there's nothing one can do. But...
Yes?
If my husband should happen to see you... Oh, it's so embarrassing for me to have to say this.
I understand, madam.
My husband... It's not a physical condition. If during the journey anything out of the ordinary should happen...
Yes?
Of course, I'm not saying that it will.
Oh, I understand.
But if it does, just disregard it. You might explain to the porter also.
Certainly.
You see, my dear husband is insane.
You needn't tiptoe, Melissa. I'm not asleep.
I knew you weren't, darling. Comfortable?
Quite. What took you so long?
I was just asking the conductor about the connections.
You're very efficient. But then you always were.
It's much simpler that way. I must put these tickets where I won't lose them. Darling.
Yes?
My keys.
What keys?
Please, dear, the keys to my luggage. They were in my purse when I left.
What would I want with them?
I can't imagine, dear. Please return them.
Look, I'm in pajamas. They're not around my neck.
If you wish to embarrass me in front of the porter, then I have no alternative but to ring for him.
No. Wait. You win. They're on the shelf by the light.
Now, what on earth would you want with my keys, dear? If there's anything I can get you, or if you like, we'll go through the luggage together.
Don't be so condescending.
Oh, but you were looking for something. I want to help you find it.
I wasn't looking for anything.
We'll start with your luggage first. Here, we find a robe, some socks, a brush, handkerchief, a towel, toilet articles.
You needn't go on.
Oh, but I must, darling. I want to convince you. About what? That I don't know. But we'll look further. Shorts, bedroom slippers, those your mother gave you, a few ties.
You're a good actress, Melissa. A very good actress.
Really, Martin, you are a mystery.
You don't happen to see a suit, topcoat, and a pair of shoes, do you?
Oh, darling, why didn't you tell me? Am I that thoughtless?
I didn't know.
But of course you would wonder.
Yes, one would.
It's all very simple to explain. You're ill. You have no need for those things, so I packed them in the trunk. It's in the baggage car.
I hope.
Silly boy, of course it is. I checked it myself.
I see.
Dinner's now being served. One course of rear.
What time is it?
10 of 7.
It's going to be an awfully long trip.
I know, dear. Do try and make the best of it.
What are you doing?
Just ringing for the porter.
Why?
My every move excites you, doesn't it? I'm just going to order dinner.
But you needn't. I'm not hungry.
One moment.
Did you ring, ma'am?
Yes. I'd like dinner served
Really,
here.
Melissa, I'll be quite all right.
But I thought it would be...
You go and have dinner. I don't care for anything. Some tea, perhaps.
Are you certain you'll be all right?
Quite certain.
Just some tea, then, for Mr. Thornton.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll go now, dear, but I'll be back shortly. Keep those covers up.
I will.
Porter. Porter.
Yes, ma'am.
I presume the conductor has explained to you about my husband.
Yes, ma'am. He sure did.
Then would you watch our compartment very carefully? I don't think I should have left him there alone.
Sure will, ma'am.
And don't forget his tea.
Coming right up.
Which way is the diner?
One car back.
Now remember.
I sure won't forget.
Table for one, please. I'm alone.
Your husband, come quick.
What's happened?
He's gone, ma'am. He just ain't there. I went to get the key and...
Oh, he couldn't. He couldn't be. Did you look thoroughly?
Look, ma'am. He sure enough ain't here.
Are all these compartments filled?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, don't stand there. Do something.
I'll go back through again.
No, you stay here. I'll go to the front of the car.
Yes, ma'am.
He couldn't have gone far. He wouldn't dare try anything. He's alive. He's got to be. He couldn't die now. Not now. Martin! Martin! Don't come! Keep away from me! Please, you gotta come!
Keep away from me!
Martin!
Let go of me, you stupid woman!
Somebody, please help me!
Let go of me! Go on! I'm all right. Let's get out of here.
Oh, Martin, darling. What were you thinking of? I can't breathe. Help me, Porter.
Yes, ma'am. Easy now.
Martin, I'm faint. Shock. What a foolish thing to try.
I'm sorry, Melissa. Guess it was. Thank you, Porter. That'll be all.
Yes, sir.
There now. Please lie down.
I'm all right.
Here, drink this.
More sleeping pills?
Yes.
You're such a faithful wife, Melissa.
I couldn't be otherwise.
And you want me to live so badly.
I do, Martin. So very badly.
I wonder why.
For Suspense, Roma Wines are bringing you as star June Dupre in Your Devoted Wife by David R. Gillespie. Roma Wines' presentation tonight in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Between the acts of Suspense, this is Truman Bradley for Roma Wines. Last week, a friend of mine, a Roma wine user and Suspense fan, made an interesting comment about my announcements. Brad, he said, the past few weeks you've talked mostly about Roma California Sherry. Now, I agree Roma Sherry is a wonderful wine. I enjoy it. But I also enjoy, and think you should mention, some of the other fine Roma California wines. Your flame-bright Roma Tokay, or my wife's favorite, that rich golden Roma Muscatel, and Roma makes a delicious port. I always keep it on hand to welcome guests. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend Tom is right. So, may I remind you that fine Roma dessert wines include port, Muscatel, and Tokay, in addition to America's first call to dinner, Roma Sherry. And for those who enjoy vermouth, with or without soda, in fact, any way, Roma features two great vermouths, both dry and sweet. Vermouths, zestful and full-flavored, with almost 100 rare herbs. Remember, you'll like your favorite wine better by Roma. For Roma, America's greatest vintner, with unmatched wine-making resources, gives you unvarying taste goodness at reasonable cost. That's why more Americans enjoy Roma than any other wine.
And now, Roma Wines bring back to our Hollywood soundstage June Dupre as Melissa Thornton, with William Johnstone as her husband, Martin Thornton, in Your Devoted Wife, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Conductor?
Well, it's rather late for you to be up, isn't it?
Yes, I couldn't sleep.
Can I help you?
Yes, you can. When is our next stop?
Let me see. We're doing Minnewanka at 2:32. We're running a few minutes late. Just about 20 minutes.
There's a telegraph station. I mean, we can send a wire?
Yes, of course.
It's very important that this message gets to Chicago immediately. I wonder if it would be possible for you to... Could you get off at the next stop and...
Now, look, Mr. Thornton. Can't your wife send it?
No, she's asleep. I don't want to bother her.
Oh, I see. Well, all right, give it to me. I'll have the porter drop it off.
Yes. You see, I have it written. Here it is.
I'll send it as soon as we stop.
Thank you very much.
Not at all. Good night.
Good night.
Chicago in 15 minutes, ma'am. Chicago, next station stop. Chicago, next station stop. 15 minutes, Chicago.
Sleep well, dear?
You saw to that.
We'll be in 15 minutes.
Wish it were all over with.
How do you mean, darling?
Oh, clinic. Doctor's pawing me.
You know, darling, you and your antics rather upset me last night. I couldn't finish my dinner.
I'm sorry, Melissa. I'll try and be more successful next time.
There won't be a next time.
I wouldn't bank on it.
You promised me there wouldn't.
Did I?
Let's not bicker. I do so want you to get better. To be strong and happy again.
You're going to some lengths to accomplish that, aren't you?
No more than a devoted wife should.
How old am I, Melissa?
Why, you'll be 30, the 20th of June.
This is June.
How silly, of course it is.
How many more days, Melissa?
Really, Martin, I can count. It's 13, 14, I should imagine.
Imagine, huh? How many times have you counted these days? How many?
Oh, it's ridiculous. Why shouldn't I remember your birthday? Every loving wife...
Yes, but this birthday, this one coming up, it's pretty important to you, isn't it?
What are you talking about?
$50,000.
Oh, darling, you do come into your inheritance this year, don't you?
If I'm lucky.
Talking in riddles. It's your money.
Mine, when I reach 30.
Well?
But if I don't reach 30, then Sis gets it. You won't see a penny of it.
What are you trying to say exactly?
Don't you know?
I most certainly do not.
I won't live to be 30, Melissa.
You're trying to frighten me.
Not at all.
Yes, you are. You hate me, don't you?
Not hate. Just nothing. A blank.
Let's not quarrel, darling. It upsets you so.
We won't quarrel. It's too late for that.
I tried to be a good and faithful wife.
In your way, I guess you have.
The way I thought best. As for your inheritance, I shall forget all about it.
And you should. You see, Melissa, I wired my lawyer to meet us in Chicago.
You're joking.
Not at all. You see, I didn't take your sleeping pills last night.
Martin.
In just about 10 minutes, I'll have a different arrangement in my will.
What a cheap trick to pull. You wouldn't dare change your will.
Wouldn't I?
What did you do?
Sent a telegram last night when you were asleep.
Yes.
Order, ma'am.
Yes?
Your luggage. Oh, could I ask you to step outside a moment, ma'am?
luggage? Oh, yes,
The conductor here would like to speak to you, ma'am.
of course.
Oh, Mrs. Thornton, your husband asked me to send this wire last night.
Wire? Yes?
Well, knowing about what you told me, his mind, I mean.
Yes?
I didn't send it.
You didn't. May I have it?
Oh, certainly.
Meet Sunset Limited in Chicago Thursday noon, June 7th. Don't fail. Bring a copy of my will. Compartment E, car 79. Signed Martin.
That's it.
You've done me a great favor.
I hope I did right.
You most certainly did. Thank you.
No, not at all. What's wrong?
Nothing, darling. Nothing at all.
What took you so long?
The porter was showing me where our luggage would be on leaving the train.
Oh.
Darling, look at you. Now you must keep covered up. And we aren't going to quarrel anymore. Everything's going to be just fine. Just fine.
We're coming in now, ma'am. Please call me for any assistance with Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Porter. We wouldn't want anything to happen to Mr. Martin now, would we?
You may see your husband now, Mrs. Thornton.
Thank you. Happy birthday, darling.
Even flowers.
Aren't they lovely?
Very.
Well, when will you know?
You mean, when will we know?
That's right. I, too, get a verdict. It was very foolish of you to have me go through the clinic, too.
It did no harm.
It's such a waste of time. Come in.
Here's Doctor now.
Thank you. Darling, no matter what the verdict, you must be brave.
I'll do my best.
Well,
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
good morning, good morning. Please sit down, Mrs. Thornton.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know quite how to start.
Let's have it, Doctor.
Well, Mr. Thornton, I'll be brief. All of the tests and every diagnosis made indicate that there's absolutely nothing organically wrong with you.
Nothing wrong?
That's what he said, Melissa. Aren't you happy?
Yes. Yes, of course. Well, that's that. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Mrs. Thornton,
Yes?
wouldn't you like to hear your diagnosis?
I'd completely forgotten. Of course.
Sit down, Mrs. Thornton.
Thank you.
Mrs. Thornton, if you're careful, and by that I mean careful, you will have at the most 30 days more to live.
Well, we're going home, Melissa.
Yes.
Are you comfortable?
Quite comfortable.
Can I get you anything, darling?
What did you say?
I said, can I get you anything?
No, thank you.
Why do you keep staring out the window?
Just looking.
You see, from the beginning, I knew you wanted me to live until I was 30.
30?
Yes. After that, well, you just didn't care, did you?
No. I didn't care.
But I wanted to be sure. So I pretended I was ill. Quite well, too, I thought.
Pretended?
Yes. You see, I wanted to study you, Melissa. I wanted to get to be not only 30, but a good deal older. Are you listening, Melissa?
Yes. Yes, I'm listening.
Oh, really, my dear? Your mind seems to wander. You must relax.
No, I'm listening.
But this business of sleeping pills and trying to kidnap me, it was all very sloppy.
Wasn't it, though?
I could have left the train at any time.
Of course.
But I wanted to see just how far you really would go.
It was clever of me, wasn't it?
Very clever. Even going so far as to tell people I was insane.
I did do that.
That wasn't very nice, though, Melissa. After all, I am your husband.
My husband.
But you forgot one thing.
Yes?
My pre-med course. You know, I wanted to be a doctor once.
You did, didn't you?
Yes. Although I never did make it, I knew enough about people and symptoms to guess the verdict in your case. 30 days, the doctor said, wasn't it?
30 days.
Yes. And so we're going back. Back to your mother and father and my mother and father. Oh, I wouldn't tell them about this 30-day business if I were you. No use in exciting them.
30 days.
That's not very long, is it, dear?
Not very long.
30 days. But then he could have made a mistake, an aneurysm. That heart might burst at any time.
30 days. Mistake.
What's wrong, Melissa? Wait, you mustn't get up, dear. The doctor said that...
30 days.
Melissa, where are you going?
30 days.
Melissa, come back here.
30 days.
Melissa, don't go out there.
30.
Don't open that door. We're on a trestle.
30.
Don't jump, Melissa. Don't jump.
30.
Oh, some woman. She jumped. Poor thing. I guess she just didn't want to live any longer.
Suspense.
Presented by Roma Wines. R-O-M-A. Made in California for enjoyment throughout the world. Before we hear again from June Dupre, star of Your Devoted Wife, tonight's suspense play, this is Truman Bradley for Roma Wines. Everyone agrees that for a wedding, no other wine will do but champagne. And Roma California Champagne, as discriminating wine users know, makes it possible for everyone to enjoy the taste luxury of truly fine champagne at reasonable cost. So, if there's a wedding or anniversary on your June calendar, make it a sparkling golden moment with the pale gold bubbling brilliance of Roma California Champagne. Yes, Roma Champagne or Roma California Sparkling Burgundy add elegance and graciousness to any occasion, be it wedding, anniversary, birthday, or other happy event. And because Roma is America's greatest vintner, with years of winemaking skill and resources unmatched in America, Roma brings you fine champagne at reasonable cost. So insist on Roma, R-O-M-A, Roma Wines.
This is June Dupre. It's always an exciting experience to make an appearance on Suspense, a longtime favorite of mine. Next Thursday, you'll hear a remarkably talented new young actor, recently out of Uncle Sam's Navy and newly arrived in Hollywood to begin what I'm sure will be a brilliant film career. That'll be Elliott Reed, who will appear as a star in a suspense play which all takes place on a bus making a return trip from a state insane asylum. I know you won't want to miss it. Thank you.
June Dupre will soon be seen in the Paramount production Calcutta. Next Thursday, same time, Roma Wines will bring you Mr. Elliott Reed as star of Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills.
Produced by William Spear for the Roma Wine Company of Fresno, California. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Now, don't get excited.
I'm not excited. I just found out where I am, that's all.
Let's go up to your room and talk it over.
Talk what over? I'm in the wrong place. Maybe I'm a little sick, but I've got all my buttons. Get me out of here.
Mr. Lewis, please, you're making a disturbance. Go along with Mr. Adams.
Doctor, I can manage.
Then please do it. We'll have a riot here if he doesn't quiet down.
Mr. Lewis, you don't want to get me into trouble, do you? We were getting along so nicely.
When she put it that way, I let them take me out of there and up to my room. But then I put up an argument, demanded to see the head man. Amy backed me up, too. She said she was sure I was okay and didn't belong in such a place. Dr. Dunlap hit the ceiling. They had a battle, a pip. He slammed out of the room, and she had a fit of crying. But the net result was that I was taken to the office of Professor Bird, the man who ran the asylum. He was a strange little guy, with a head cocked to one side like he was listening to something nobody else could hear.
Ah, Mr. Lewis, feeling better?
Why does everyone ask me that? Yes, I feel great.
Good. Do you remember me?
Should I?
Oh, not necessarily. What seems to be the trouble?
You just made a mistake, that's all. Got the wrong fellow. I don't belong here.
Well, that's strange. Your commitment papers seem to be in order.
I don't care about that. Listen to me.
Here, Mr. Lewis. Let's discuss this calmly. We're not in the habit of picking people off the streets haphazardly. Someone had to sign you in. Who was it, your parents?
My folks have been dead for years.
Your wife, perhaps?
She doesn't know I'm back in America. Probably thinks I'm dead. Come on, Professor, stop stalling. You've got it all on that paper.
Never mind this paper. Tell me about yourself. Were you in the war?
No, they wouldn't take me. Blood pressure or something. I went to Burma for the International Oil Company.
Oh? How was it in Burma?
Pretty rugged. I was there for 3 years. I'd be there yet, only I fell in front of a bulldozer and got my leg crushed. They shipped me back to San Diego, thinking that...
Now, Roma Wines. R-O-M-A. Made in California for enjoyment throughout the world. Roma Wines present...
Suspense. Tonight, Roma Wines bring you Mr. Robert Young as star of The High Wall. A suspense play produced, edited, and directed for Roma Wines by William Spear.
Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, is presented for your enjoyment by Roma Wines. That's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines. Those excellent California wines that can add so much pleasantness to the way you live, to your happiness in entertaining guests, to your enjoyment of everyday meals. Yes, right now a glassful would be very pleasant as Roma Wines bring you Robert Young in a remarkable tale of suspense.
I woke up in bed. Nothing strange about that, except that it was a hospital bed. I couldn't imagine how I got there. I didn't remember any accident. I didn't feel sick. Why the hospital? I laid there trying to puzzle it out. Last night was Christmas Eve. I was stopping at the Beacon Hotel in Boston. I was going to get up early this morning and go to Fitchburg and find Helen, my wife. After 3 years of separation, it would be nice to be with her again on Christmas Day. I turned in bed and looked out of the window. Christmas? Why, it was summer. There were trees and grass and flowers in bloom. I guess I twisted around or something because the next thing I knew, a girl was leaning over me, smiling.
Hello there. Feeling better?
Well, I guess so. Am I supposed to be sick?
Well, no, not if you feel all right.
Mr. Lewis, I don't know. What woke me up was someone knocking on the door. I got up and opened it and... Well, that's all I remember.
Who was it at the door?
I don't know. It's just like the lights went out. I don't remember a thing until I woke up here this morning.
I see. Do you know where you are?
No.
This is a hospital for the mentally ill. This is the Flowerdale Hospital for the criminal insane.
Criminal insane? I'm not insane, and I'm not... I've had a blackout, that's all. Does that make me a criminal?
Oh, no, it's the other way around. The crime caused the blackout.
Crime? What crime? What did I do?
I can't tell you that.
I'll say you can't. You've got the wrong man. And you're afraid to admit it.
I wish that were true for your sake, Mr. Lewis. However, I attended your trial. The state called me as an authority on mental diseases. It was at my suggestion that you were sent here for treatment.
How? How long do I have to stay?
Until I'm convinced you are no longer a menace to society.
All right. Give me a test. I'll get out of here in a hurry.
I've just given you a test, and you failed badly.
Why? Because I can't remember being in trouble? Well, that could happen to anyone.
No, not in your case, Mr. Lewis. Your mind has drawn a certain a curtain across something it doesn't want to remember. The crime you committed is buried in your subconscious mind. Until you can remember everything that happened from the time you opened that door down to the present moment, I shall have to detain you. When you remember your crime and the reason you committed it, you can walk out of here a free man.
But you're pretty sure I won't do it, aren't you? Okay, I'm going to fool you. Dr. Dunlap, Miss Adams, you're witnesses to what he said.
Understand, Mr. Lewis, I'm interested in reason.
We were beginning to get worried about you. You didn't seem to want to wake up.
We? Who's we?
Oh, Dr. Dunlap and all of us.
Well, what happened to me? Well, why am I in a hospital?
You've been very ill. Don't try to think about it, Mr. Lewis. Just get well.
You're, Amy, aren't you?
That's right. Good for you.
Amy. How did I know her name? Why was her face so familiar to me? I tried to think, and suddenly I remembered. I'd been dreaming about her. In one dream, I was up to my neck in quicksand, and she was trying to save me. She was crying, and her tears fell on my face, and she kissed me. That would have to be a dream, wouldn't it? Still, as I looked up into her eyes, it seemed very real. I could almost feel her lips. I dozed off, thinking of her, and when I woke up, Dr. Dunlap was standing beside my bed.
Well, Mr. Lewis, Miss Adams tells me you're bright and snappy this morning.
Yeah. Any reason why I have to stay in bed?
Oh, none at all. If you feel able, we'll get your clothes, and Miss Adams will take you down to the solarium, and you can sit in the sun. Now, how's that?
The solarium was a big glassed-in veranda where the patients sat around and took it easy. Played cards and read and talked. There was quite a crowd when we walked in, but nobody seemed to notice us. Amy, Miss Adams, introduced me to a girl who ran the newsstand. Her name was Ella. She sold cigarettes, candy bars, magazines. I sat down over to one side and looked the people over. Nobody seemed very sick, but they said silly things and laughed a lot. One man acted like he was catching a ball and throwing it to second base. Then he'd argue with the umpire over a bad decision, and suddenly it hit me, like a smash in the face. This wasn't a hospital. It was an insane asylum. I jumped up, but Amy put her hand on my arm. Dr. Dunlap appeared out of nowhere and pushed me back into the chair. Mr. Lewis, they'd have to cut it off.
Well, fortunately, they didn't have to, huh? Did your wife know you were hurt?
Funny you should ask that. No, she didn't. You see, we used to go to dances a lot.
I see. You didn't fancy yourself with a crutch.
Does anybody?
But after you were discharged from the hospital in San Diego, did you communicate with her then?
No, I wanted to surprise her. She thought I was still in Burma. I took a train for Boston, arrived on December 23rd, a Thursday.
Yes?
So I went home, looking for Helen. She wasn't there. Somebody else lived in the house. She'd sold it. Knocked me a twister. I was born in that house. My grandfather built it. And it was gone.
Where was your wife?
Helen? She was in Fitchburg, working in a defense plant. But I didn't find that out until I ran into an old pal of mine that night. He almost keeled over when he saw me because everybody thought I was dead. You know, not hearing from me for more than a year.
And did you go to Fitchburg, see your wife?
No, I didn't want to see her right then.
Why not?
Oh, I was upset, I guess, about her selling the house. Besides, I'd been away more than 3 years. One day more wouldn't hurt. So I checked into a hotel, the Beacon House, room 305, I remember. I stretched out on the bed and tried to think things out.
Yes. You were lying on the bed and...
Oh, well, I fell asleep, that's all.
I see.
No use telling him how I laid there, thinking of Helen and wishing I'd gone on to Fitchburg. How I kept seeing her face like a great big painting on the ceiling. He'd think I was nuts if I told him how I could smell that queer perfume she used. And the feeling I got that she was there in the room with me.
And how long did you sleep,